USIC Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Celebrate your big day with big prizes on the Home Ad Show. Call in your birthday or anniversary and get added to our daily prize wheel. Every day someone wins, but Fridays are even bigger. One lucky daily winner scores 4 tickets to see Peabo Bryson live in Mooresville on Saturday, June 14th. Doors open at 5. Show starts at 6 at 161 South Magnolia Street. It's the Golden Touch Tour, brought to you by the town of Mooresville. Don't miss your chance. Call in and win.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Hello and welcome to Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us here. 4 o'clock hour. You've got, let's say, 53 minutes, 22 seconds until we get to that 5 o'clock bell. And I appreciate so much you spending that time with us here as we talk on all things economic and financial. When we're looking at how the universe goes together with our markets and with our economies, not only just here in the U.S., but around the world. We have no lack of material today, folks. I don't think we ever do, but it certainly is true again today. There's been enough going on here. We could probably keep you for about 6 or 7 hours or so, but I'm pretty sure that the good folks here at WSIC would have something rather stern to say to me about that if I did. But at any rate, so we're talking on all things financial and economic here. But in doing so, we're going to be looking at some things. We're going to be talking about some things that in a negative light, sometimes in a positive light, and even specific companies, investment styles, maybe some things that are in favor, out of favor, always true. I'm going to be talking about those again here today. But in doing so, be reminded, again, as a previous listener to Dollars and Cents, that nothing that we're talking about here is intended as a specific recommendation for you. Meaning that even though we're going to be talking about these things, it's not because we're saying that everybody should do or everybody shouldn't do one thing or another. Everybody's situation is unique. We strongly, strongly recommend that you reach out to your tax advisor or your financial advisor, or if you'd like to reach out to us at North Main Financial Group with your question, talk about how we might be able to be helpful to you, you can find us online at northmainfinancial.com. That's north like the direction, Main like the street, financial.com. northmainfinancial.com. We have a contact page on there. You can find us, leave an email address, a phone number, let us know the most preferred and desirable ways for us to contact you, again, at northmainfinancial.com. You're also welcome to call us here in the studio. You have a question, something that's been coming across your mind there, perhaps in your own situation, a friend or colleague's, family member situation. You're always welcome to call us here in the studio. Producer Reese will get the call. If I can't get to your question, I promise you I'll include it in next week's show. We always want this show to be relevant and helpful to you. I can't give you specific recommendations, and I'll just disappoint you up front. I'm not the hot stock tip guy. That's just not what I do here. As a matter of fact, if I'm giving you the hot stock tips, you probably want to run in the other direction. That's probably the best advice that I can give you. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464 here in the studio. 844-788-3464 here in the studio at WSIC. All right, let's roll into it. Big week. We're really at I would say the tail end of the earnings season. We still got some more to go here. The ones that came out here today don't clump up sometimes with all of the, or the majority, I should say, of the S&P 500 companies. That was a couple of weeks ago. But there still are a number of companies that have announced, are announcing this week as well. So I don't like to get too narrow in terms of how I describe what earnings season is. I mean, you can make an argument, especially with how fiscal calendars go together for these companies. It's pretty much always earnings season because nobody's running on the standard. I shouldn't say that. Very few companies are running on the standard quarterly calendar as you and I follow it from January 1st to December 31st. Most companies, especially of size, have a fiscal calendar where they may have their fiscal year, for example, start on February 1st and end on January 31st kind of thing. So there are those kinds of considerations out there which make it almost always earnings season because you don't have to start on February 1st. You can start on April 1st. You can start on August 1st. You can start on January 31st. You can start on whatever day that you like when it comes to the fiscal calendar as far as your company is concerned. So we have a number of companies and also some that are going to be announcing even literally as I'm talking here in real time and as of the time of this live broadcast or as of the time of this podcast recording, if you happen to be listening to the recording, that are coming out as well. So I'll talk about those next week, definitely. But I want to talk about the ones that are already out. And I got to talk about one of the big ones. And we talk about this company with regularity, not because we have a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold it, because we never do for any of the companies that we talk about here, but because it's one of the largest ones out there and one of the most widely held as a result of that, especially here over the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years. This company's been around a lot longer than that, but especially over the last 2 to 3 years has become very popular, primarily because of its explosive growth rate here over the last couple of years. And I'm talking about NVIDIA, if you can't guess that up front. Ticker symbol Nancy Victor David Alpha, not a recommendation again to buy, sell, or hold the equity or the debt of the company. Came out with quarterly earnings, and I got to give it to them. I mean, I got to, they have what I think are such impossible metrics anymore because of how much they've grown. And of course, the market just always wants more. So if you have grown at 100%, the market wants you to grow another 100%. You know, there's really no thanks for previous good reporting. But NVIDIA came out again and had an exceptional quarter. Top line revenue over $46 billion. I mean, that's in 90 days. I mean, that's just spectacular when you're looking at revenue generation in that amount of time. And that even includes, and what they estimate is an $8 billion reduction in this last quarter for business possibilities that they lost because of the trade negotiations the U.S. is having with China. So they lost out on what they're estimating as much as $8 billion of revenue, top line revenue, because of the ongoing trade negotiations and deals they couldn't close in China. So exceptional quarter again. I mean, just amazing. Top line, bottom line as well beat on the per share profit that was estimated. Folks, I mean, I hope you own or have owned this company over the last several years because the appreciation has been amazing. Not saying that it's a recommendation for everybody, of course, but just because of how much it's grown during that time frame. And but I also, I know I'm not the fun guy at the party. I'm never that guy. But I'm going to offer a word of caution here. I mean, stocks can't go straight up forever. Now, we had a little bit of a breathing period there at the end of March, early first part of April, especially that first week of April. It really bottomed out with a lot of these high flyers. And so, you know, you may say, well, you know, you're looking at it saying, you know, NVIDIA is pretty much just back to where they started the year and maybe a few dollars more. That's correct. I mean, for all of the movement that's happened this year, they had a pretty hard sell-off there, late March, early April. Now that they're back up in the $135 a share-ish range as of the time that I came on the air here, then you can say, well, you know, this isn't as much of a concern that they're up another 4 or 5% today on the ticket because of this good quarter, because they're really just getting back to where they were on January 1st. I will grant you that, but then I'll also counter with, take a look at how they performed here for the last couple of years. Way ahead. I mean, explosive growth as a company. You really can't argue with. You really can't make a way of saying that they don't deserve it. I mean, from a revenue standpoint, profit standpoint, growth standpoint, I mean, they are investing tens of billions of dollars in AI-related generation things. It's amazing. I mean, they are truly at the forefront of the semiconductor computer chip end of things, especially those very high performing, very high volume, very high capacity computer chips that are literally driving some of the most powerful operations that exist today, meaning that most powerful computer operations that exist today. I mean, they're talking about going through billions of bits of data in microseconds. Just amazing whenever you think about it. So you got to talk about them. They're big, but they can't be perfect forever, and that's always the word of caution, just like we always talk about here on Dollars and Cents. Make sure you're prudent about what you do. But first, we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors. Back in a moment here on WSIC.
Make no mistake.
Did you say steak?
We'll be back to talk more finances and food on Dollars and Cents, presented by North Main Financial on WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, partly cloudy, temperatures warm up to around 80 as we go into our Thursday afternoon. The storm chance is lower today, but a few isolated scattered showers or a pop-up thunderstorm possible as we go into this evening. Our Friday, though, will bring the better chance for storms for the week as a cold front pushes through. A line of scattered thunderstorms possible. A few could be stronger, even severe, with damaging wind and hail for our Friday afternoon. That's your forecast. The WSIC Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Ladies' Night is back at Bin 110 in Cornelius on Thursday, May 29th, courtesy of Lake Norman Woman Magazine. Whether you are new to the area or just need a night out with the girls, this is the perfect, no-pressure way to unwind, meet new friends, and enjoy a night of good vibes and great drinks. Invite your crew and make it a night to remember. Ladies' Night at Bin 110 begins Thursday at 6:30 p.m. with the Kaylee Grace music debut beginning at 8:30. The 500 Club in Statesville presents live music Saturday night with Lead Not Follow performing at 6 p.m. The band features classic rock, alternative, pop, country, and original music. Golfing and entertainment are all at the 500 Club this weekend. The Dock and Rock Music Festival, one of the highlights of the summer outdoor concert season, returns on Saturday, June 7th at Waterside Bar and Grill in Catawba. The music begins at 4 p.m. with performances by Ryan Joyce, Chasing Phoenix, the Presley Layton Band, and Danny Carr and the Skeleton Crew. Tickets are only $10 in advance and still a bargain at $20 at the door. Search Dock and Rock at ticketleaf.events. Dock and Rock is hosted by Ryan Joyce, Waterside Bar and Grill, and is powered by Waves Entertainment. We will see you on Saturday, June 7th at Waterside Bar and Grill in Catawba for the Dock and Rock Music Festival. The Cookout Summer Shootout Series is back for race number 1 on Monday, June 9th at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Watch racing's future stars battle in Legends cars and Bandoleros on the front stretch quarter mile. Don't miss the next generation of racing royalty. Click on charlottemotorspeedway.com for ticket information or head to Gate 4 at the Speedway for the weekly promotions. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
It's not too late for Mother's Day. Give the gift of peace and calm all month long with Closets by Design. Get 40% off plus another 15% when you mention this ad. Give Mom the closet of her dreams. Less chaos, more calm at closetsbydesign.com.
From market trends to retirement plans, Joshua Dobi has you covered. We're back with more Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial on WSIC. Local starts here.
Hello and welcome back to Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us here. Second quarter of today's show, Football Reference. We like to talk about football around here. It's another word that begins with F, just like finance. We like to talk about another word that begins with F, which we'll do a little bit later on in the show, and that's food. That's one of my favorite parts of the show. We try to tie it into all things financial. I mean, I don't know about you, but going to the grocery store is certainly a financial experience for me, and not a pleasant financial experience. So I think talking about food is definitely part and parcel to all things financial, certainly when it comes to our budget end of things. But talking about football here, and producer Reese, he's very good to me. He really is, because I start out by saying, usually in the second quarter of each week, that we are exactly 1 week closer to the start of football season, when we are, of course, not in football season. And I say that, and then he was so good to bring me up the official countdown clock for the start of the NFL season. There's probably one out there for college football as well. We're going to use the NFL season here. Folks be talking about, well, they play overseas. I get it. You're exactly right. However, for those of you who are keeping track exactly like we are here, 97 days, 7 hours, 40 minutes, 32 seconds until we start the NFL season. And we're looking forward to it. Our Panthers, by the way, a reminder. I need to remind you that our Panthers, yet again this week, are in exactly the same position that they were last week in terms of having equal opportunity to win the Super Bowl. Nobody's ahead of us. Nobody gets wins in the bank. Nobody starts out in a better space or, preferred treatment, different games or anything. Producer Reese, our Panthers are right there. They're still in contention as of today.
Every record starts 0-0.
That's exactly right.
Every start of the game starts 0-0.
Every game's a possibility.
Right.
Every game's and folks, just so you know, once the football season starts, we will be talking about, of course, every single week where the Panthers remain eligible for the playoffs as well, which means when you're eligible for the playoffs, you are still possibly in the running to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
So we'll talk about that until the bloody end. You can't kick us off this bus. There's no way. We're taking it right to the bloody end, and we hope it's when we're raising the Lombardi Trophy right at the end there. All right. I appreciate you hanging with us here as we get a little bit anecdotal. I mean, I can only talk about so much when it comes to, let's say, Federal Reserve Board interest rates, earnings reports, alpha, beta, gamma, I mean, all these Greek letters that, I mean, at least I hope I'm describing them correctly here. You're probably taking notes, going to check on me, which is a good thing. You need to hold me accountable on this end. Let's get a little bit more on the company end of things, though, first. As I said, got some companies, especially big companies, that have been announcing earnings here this week. Want to talk about a couple of them here. Going to bring up another one that came out yesterday as well. Big one. Certainly when you're talking about all things that have to do with client relationship management software, so CRM related kinds of things, cybersecurity kinds of things as well. And actually the ticker symbol is appropriate, CRM. I'm talking about Salesforce, Charlie, Roger, Mary, CRM. Not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold the stock or the debt. Came out with what I thought. I looked at the 10Q, listened to the quarterly earnings call, and Mark Benioff, who is the chairman and CEO of Salesforce, a pretty charismatic gentleman. I mean, he certainly is one of the darlings of Wall Street. The Street likes listening to him. I thought he came out with a pretty good call overall. CRM's had some challenges here in terms of just some higher than expected costs, slower than expected growth rates, maybe looked at a little bit behind the AI end of things. They came out this quarter, I thought, really hit the ball hard. But however, the market didn't like it as much. And usually the market is fickle, right? They always are. And in a given earnings report, it may be that they overdo it when there's a negative tone to it. They probably get overdone on the upside whenever there's a positive tone to it. This is one of those ones that I thought by most metrics, at least insofar as companies are analyzed by most metrics, that Salesforce had a pretty good quarter. And even in the after hours, as the call was happening, as Benioff was making the interview circuit through all the major business news networks, that the stock price was actually popped up a little bit, 2 to 3% in after hours trading. That changed once we got the blinds up and the markets running on this end of things today, down about 5%. So kind of interesting. So any number of reasons why that may have been the case, but I thought overall a pretty reasonable quarter for Salesforce, and certainly in their go forward look at things to spend on AI related tools inside of the Salesforce toolbox. Definitely a huge spend currently and going forward, but still very, very interesting. Have to mention also what happened this past week. Salesforce announced the buyout of one of their, I wouldn't say it would be one of their competitors, I would say almost corollary business kinds of things. $8 billion for Informatica. Informatica, huge in the data management software and end of things, excuse me. So Informatica, $8 billion by Salesforce. That's big. I mean, because Informatica, you may not have heard of them, but they are definitely big in data management software. They run a lot of the chassis, the behind the scenes kind of aspects in managing large data sets. And of course, we are all into large data sets with all things that have to do with AI. So very much an AI play there. Interesting buy on Salesforce's part. They even said during the quarterly earnings call, not going to be a huge effect, either positive or negative for the first year, which is very common in an acquisition kind of scenario. You're trying to figure out your synergies, maximize your efficiencies, reduce your redundancies. How about that for a number of words that end with C at the end of them, not the letter just by itself, other letters along with it. But looking for long-term synergy insofar as bringing Informatica into the Salesforce umbrella. So it'll be interesting to see how that takes its shape. All right, got to go here to this. I almost want to call it a cult stock. And when I say cult stock, there's no negative connotivity with it. I mean that there are folks who are very, very passionate about this company. There are folks who are generally passionate about all companies, but some companies strike up a stronger chord with certain folks, with a certain segment of folks. And I'm looking at business travelers especially, but also folks who travel casually for leisure as well. And it's this. It's now in play. I think we mentioned it here a couple of months ago, whenever they announced it, and now it's actually in play. I'm looking at Southwest Airlines, which, by the way, has one of the best ticker symbols out there. Part of the Southwest Airlines logo is a heart, literally a heart, and their ticker symbol. Again, you might appreciate this. I always appreciate it. I think it's wonderful. LUV, Larry Umbrella Victor LUV. So it sounded out love. I mean, they got heart in the logo and their ticker symbol's love. I think it's great. Anyhow, it doesn't have a whole lot to do with commercial flying, but I think it really does speak to their ethos, to their logo certainly, but also to the way that they strive to do things. However, they have announced that they are now going to be charging for baggage, meaning that they had up to this point there was no charge for baggage. And a lot of airlines, I want to say all the legacy carriers, at some level are charging for bags. Not to everybody. If you're a frequent flyer, if you have certain status, you're able to get around that. And that's actually going to be true with Southwest as well. So if you buy the most expensive ticket or you have a certain status level with Southwest, you can still be in a space where you're not paying for baggage. However, if you're an infrequent flyer of Southwest, or you're not in that status kind of space, then you're going to be paying for baggage. And the hue and cry right now. It's amazing. I full disclosure, I don't fly Southwest very much. With American having the hub here in Charlotte, I fly American almost exclusively because they have the most direct flights with around here, with Charlotte being the hub. But I know folks who travel to Raleigh a lot to fly Southwest, and I know folks who fly Southwest out of Charlotte as well. But there are more flights out of Raleigh, certainly with Southwest, where you can get directly. And so I know a lot of folks who travel Southwest religiously. And there's a lot of hue and cry out there about the fact that they're now going to be charging for bags for folks, again, who aren't buying the real expensive tickets or who aren't at a certain status level with Southwest because of their frequent flyer end of things. So very, very interesting to see that. I see it as a capitulation. I mean, this is just subjective commentary now. I see it as a capitulation a little bit by Southwest, recognizing that the costs of putting those planes in the air safely, it is relentlessly more expensive. And I'm not just talking about fuel, but I'm not just talking about pilots, but I'm talking about ordering these aircraft. The cost, I mean, you're talking tens of millions of dollars for these aircraft. Then after you buy them, millions of dollars to maintain them every year. I mean, it's just nonstop. And the safety expectations and requirements, which are good. I mean, you want planes to be safe. That's a very vital part of the whole process. But it is relentlessly expensive, and so interesting to see them coming out here with this change in policy in order to be able to help offset some of those higher costs that are absolutely out there. I mean, it's nonstop. Very interesting kind of thing. All right, let's keep going. Very interesting move by this company here. Not an earnings call, but an interesting move that absolutely is reflective, I think. So let me put the subjective end on that of a less than desired performance here during the past winter season. And you'll understand why I'm talking about the winter season when I'm talking about Vail Resorts. Great ticker symbol also, by the way. If you don't know, Vail Resorts owns, I believe it's 41, 42 different resorts around the country. They're always acquiring. So it's not just Vail, Colorado, but a number of different resorts around the country that are under the Vail Resorts umbrella. Here's the ticker symbol. This is why I love it. It's Mary Thomas Nancy. Yeah, MTN, Mountains. Why wouldn't you? I think that's a great ticker symbol. I want to know. I mean, I'm sure they got some real smart people who are thinking these things up, but I think that's really cool. Anyhow, current CEO out, old CEO, meaning the CEO who was there for about 15 years and really was the driver in growing Vail to the space where it is today. Back in, Rob Katz is back in, and the current CEO is out. Disappointing sales season. Some of the lowest sales since 2021, and they also had a ski instructor strike there that they had, especially in Park City, Utah. I know some folks were out there during that time over New Year's, that 12-day strike that they had there with Ski Patrol. That was a huge deal. Really dented some revenue and earnings there. So now they're hoping he's going to come in and right the ship a little bit. We'll see if that has any effect, not only on the skiing, but also on the stock price. Well, friends, we're going to take a break here. Back in a few moments for the second half on Dollars and Cents on WSIC.
Make no mistake.
Did you say steak?
We'll be back to talk more finances and food on Dollars and Cents, presented by North Main Financial on WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, partly cloudy. Temperatures warm up to around 80 as we go into our Thursday afternoon. The storm chance is lower today, but a few isolated scattered showers or a pop-up thunderstorm possible as we go into this evening. Our Friday, though, will bring the better chance for storms for the week as a cold front pushes through. A line of scattered thunderstorms possible. A few could be stronger, even severe, with damaging wind and hail for our Friday afternoon. That's your forecast. The WSIC Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Welcome home to comfort. Family-owned, community-focused, Horn Heating and Air Conditioning is proud to have served our community for over 40 years. We treat you as family because you are family. Your comfort is our business. Visit hornhvac.com today.
Opening doors to your future. Literally. Buying, selling, or building your portfolio? Put the team at Centralina Realty to work for you. We're in the center of North Carolina and at the center of your journey. CentralinaRealty.com.
Hi, this is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Have you taken the Desco Challenge? The people have spoken. Desco is where the professional goes for electrical supplies.
Hi, my name is Randy. I'm a general contractor, and I always trust the products at Desco.
See for yourself at DescoInc.com.
But one objective.
Honey, can you turn that down?
Ladies.
Honey, can you turn it down?
Ever feel like your house is shaking every time your husband watches TV?
What?
Honey, can you turn it down?
That's not surround sound. That's hearing loss. Beltone in Mooresville and Cornelius can help. With expert hearing tests and top quality hearing aids, you can finally enjoy your TV without shaking the whole neighborhood. Visit nchearing.com to schedule your free hearing test today. That's nchearing.com.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
Lowry Drug is a source for excellent pharmacy services. We have served the Statesville community since 1959. We have attentive customer service, a state-of-the-art compounding laboratory, and the Dispill medication packaging system that takes the work out of medication management for those using medication planners. We do it for you. Come see us at Lowry Drug in Statesville. Call 704-873-2247. Come see us.
Spring has sprung, and so have the savings. Drum Landscape Supply is your go-to for mulch, stone, sand, and specialty plants, and they're offering 50 to 70% off pavers and natural stone. Your dream landscape is just one stop away. Hurry in and save big, only at drumlandscapesupply.com.
This is Sheriff Darren Campbell with the Iredell County Sheriff's Office. Every day, scammers are targeting people right here in our community through phone calls, emails, and text messages, trying to steal your money, your personal information, and even your identity. If someone calls claiming to be from a government, a bank, or even law enforcement demanding money or personal details, stop and think. Legitimate organizations will never ask for gift cards, wire transfers, or your passwords over the phone or email. If something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Hang up, don't click that link, and never share personal information with someone you don't trust. At the Iredell County Sheriff's Office, we're working to protect our community, and we're proud to partner with WSIC because local starts here, and keeping you informed keeps you safe. Stay alert, stay smart, and don't fall for a scam.
It ain't easy being number one,
but we make it look good.
WSIC.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. President Trump's tariffs are being given a reprieve after a federal court struck down most of the tariffs late yesterday. Today, a federal appeals court said it is allowing the tariffs to stay in effect while it weighs a longer-lasting hold. President Trump continues to pressure Fed Chair Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. Today, the two held their first in-person meeting since the president's inauguration. The White House says Trump told Powell the Fed's refusal to lower interest rates is putting the U.S. at an economic disadvantage. This could be the month we see the impact of DOGE job cuts. In the week ending May 17th, recurring applications for jobless benefits jumped to the highest level since November of 2021. continuing claims, a proxy for the number of people receiving benefits, rose by 23,000 to 1.92 million. Analysts expected that number to be closer to 1.89 million. Heading toward the close, stocks are up between 1/10 and 0.2%. I'm Nancy Lyons, Bloomberg Radio.
No radio? No worries.
Just ask Alexa to play WSIC.
From market trends to retirement plans, Joshua Dobi has you covered. We're back with more Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial on WSIC. Local starts here.
Hello and welcome back to Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us here. Second half of today's show. You made it through the first half. You might as well hang around for the second half here. We're sprinting on our way to 5 o'clock in this hour here on Thursday, and I appreciate so much you hanging with us. We were just talking about the previous segment there, and producer Reese and I were talking during the break about another team. Got to mention them. So we talk football here, and this sport doesn't begin with the letter F. We're still going to include them. It's because our Canes are now no longer in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Not going to make it to the Stanley Cup final, but they had a fantastic season. Fantastic. They are fun to watch. But I'm sorry the Canes are out. Florida, we were just talking about, they're a juggernaut. They were a juggernaut last year. They're a juggernaut this year. I don't know if anybody on the other side, on the western side of things, is going to be able to beat Florida because they just look unbelievable. But they won last night, and so they're going to be heading on to the Stanley Cup Finals. And our Canes are heading home, but should certainly feel no disappointment. They had another exceptional year. Looking forward to seeing them around next year. So got to mention them as well before I keep cruising here. But anyhow, we were talking about CRM there. Salesforce and the acquisition end of things. Pretty interesting. They're going to be on the radar screen. I'm going to talk about them in future shows as well. Very, very interesting acquisition here with Informatica, and going to be talking about them as that continues to be integrated. And then we were talking right before the break there, we were talking about Vail Resorts, which, by the way, again, very cool ticker symbol, Mary Thomas Nancy, MTN. Certainly we were talking about mountains, but they, current CEO out, old CEO, previous CEO, put back in to kind of right the ship a little bit. I mentioned just before we went to break there, I knew some folks who were out in Park City during the Christmas, New Year's holiday when Ski Patrol was on strike, and they were talking about just some of the lines, the lift lines that were out there, just absolutely miserable. If you're not familiar with Park City's in Utah, one of the resorts that Vail Resorts owns there at Park City, and just very, very popular in the skiing community, and a pretty miserable experience for a lot of folks because they just had to wait so long in lift lines to get up the mountain in order to come back down. So kind of interesting to see this kind of move made. One of the just data points that as I was doing my due diligence on Vail here with the movement of the CEOs around. If you're familiar, if you're a skier, you know what I'm going to be talking about next. If you're not, just indulge me a little bit. There is, I'll call it a frequent skier pass. There are a couple of them out there, but one of them the one that is used with Vail Resorts is called Epic Pass. And really what it is, it's basically a season ticket to a collection of different resorts. Now, not all 42 of them. There are specific ones that are listed, but you buy that pass and you don't need to pay lift ticket fees when you go to those particular resorts during that particular season. And I say that because one of the data points, I didn't think the percentage was this high, but it said it on the internet, which means it's true. I'm just kidding. This actually came directly from Vail Resorts. 75% of the folks on the mountain, of the ones who are part of the Epic Pass collection of resorts, 75% of them own the Epic Pass, meaning they're the other, only 1 out of 4 is actually buying a daily pass. I think that's very interesting because that makes a whole lot more predictability of revenue for someone like Vail Resorts, instead of, whether folks are going to be on the mountain if the weather's great, not on the mountain if the weather's not all that great, or if it's a warmer season. A lot more predictability of revenue there. Subscription style, if you will, right? So kind of like an annual fee sort of thing in order to get the pass to be on there. Very, very interesting as opposed to the more transactional, traditional style, which had to do with lift tickets. How many folks are going to show up? You're going to have big times during Christmas and New Year's and the January and February holidays. Quieter times as you get closer towards the end of the skiing season. That kind of balanced out the revenue, but certainly very variable and not always not always the kind of thing on which you could predict in advance because you just don't know how the weather's going to be. But this Epic Pass, Icon is the other one, by the way, second pass that's out there with other ski resorts. But Epic with Vail Resorts, very interesting to see that 75%, 3 out of 4 use the Epic Pass whenever they're at Vail Resorts. All right, let's you heard during the outros there, and whenever we're on break, Mamie talking about how we talk about food on here. We do. It's kind of one of the requirements to be on the air here at WSIC. If you're not talking about food, chances are you're probably going to get the old proverbial hook off the stage. That's not true. But anyhow, we'd like to talk food here. Got to talk Costco. By the way, they came out with earnings here, as I mentioned here a little bit ago. They came out with earnings just before I went on the air, so I'm not sure where earnings-wise they landed. They were expected to be pretty much in line with expectations. But really, the reason why I'm bringing up Costco, which first of all, ticker symbol, kind of predictable on this, right? COST, Charlie, Oscar, Sam, Tom. Not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold the debt or the equity on their end of things. They apparently had something on their shelves there at Costco here within the last couple of years. I'm not familiar with this. Now, I also got to tell you, I don't darken the doors at Costco too much, too many people for me, but I know a lot of you do with Costco. Nightingale ice cream sandwiches, Nightingale ice cream sandwiches, apparently one of the best sellers when it comes to the frozen confection, frozen dessert kinds of things that they had there. Apparently they took them off and now they're back. And most importantly, their most popular flavor is back. Cookie Monster. What Cookie Monster? What a great name for an ice cream sandwich. Vanilla ice cream with cookie crumbs in between 2 chocolate chip cookies. I'd go for that. I'm not hard to please. You guys all know that at this point. You could probably put barbecue sauce on an old tire, and I'd tell you it's tasty. But when it comes, I'm not a big ice cream guy. I like ice cream. I don't run for it. I know a lot of folks are very passionate for ice cream. But when I looked at this Cookie Monster from Nightingale Ice Cream Sandwiches, vanilla ice cream with cookie crumbs in between 2 chocolate chip cookies, I thought, yeah, I could do that. Producer Reese, are you ice cream, no ice cream, or where are you with that?
I could do it.
Yeah.
Just like you do.
I think so, right? Yeah. You're not running for it, but boy, if somebody put one of those in my hand. Now, what I would also, because I'm this kind of guy, I'd like to have something salty in the other hand. So I would definitely be going for the Doritos, probably on that end of things.
For me, it would just be the ice cream
Just
sandwich.
the ice cream. Okay. Yes. So you're not combining them. You're not going potato chip ice cream sandwich
no,
like I am. Yeah.
If I'm doing something salty, it's just salty.
You got to stay there.
But then if I'm doing something sweet, it's just sweet.
Isn't that so interesting? All of us have preferences. I think it is. I think it just, in terms of how things go together. Sometimes when folks get a plate of food, they like to segment everything, right? So kind of like you're talking about, everything has its own place on the plate.
I like having its own place. I don't mix things too much.
I was just going to say that. And I'm kind of that same way, actually, even though I just said I like to combine salty and sweet. But beyond that, there are folks who like to mix everything together. And I'm not that kind of guy. But they like to mix everything together on a plate. I think it's kind of interesting whenever you're talking about that kind of stuff. All right, so Nightingale ice cream sandwiches back at Costco, and also strawberry shortcake. I would be remiss if I didn't include strawberry shortcake ice cream sandwiches also back on the shelves at Costco there. So if you are one who likes those kinds of things at Costco, they are back. Let's keep with let's call it warehouse style grocery store shopping. Got to go with Costco's competitor here with what we're talking next, Sam's Club. So it seems to me that folks either go to Costco or Sam's Club, and I don't talk to too many who go to both. And maybe it's due to whichever one's closer. That may be the case. But Sam's Club, owned by Walmart. Walmart, tough not to know them. William, Mary, Tom, WMT. Not a not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold the stock or the equity. The stock or the debt. There, they are going. I thought this was very interesting, Producer Reese. So apparently, their frozen pizzas there, or their pizzas that you can buy at Sam's Club, are very, very popular, and you can buy them in the little cafe out front. They are now going to start delivery. Very interesting to me.
Sam's Club
is
going to deliver
pizza.
Very
interesting. Now, I do have certain preferences when it comes to pizza, and I probably am not calling Sam's Club to have a hot pizza delivered. However, they made it very interesting. They tied it in where you could get it basically for free delivery costs if you bought $50 worth of groceries at Sam's Club. They would deliver the groceries and your hot pizza to you at the same. I thought that was very interesting. It's a very interesting play And because the whole pizza and pizza delivery thing, I mean, folks are pretty passionate about that.
I will say, frozen pizza has saved me on a lot of late nights.
You and me both.
Where I'm looking around my kitchen and I'm like, what am I going to eat?
Where are we going
and
now?
Then frozen pizza was just laying right there.
You got it.
Like,
all right. We'll be back in a minute.
Back to talk more finances and food on Dollars and Cents, presented by North Main Financial on WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, partly cloudy, temperatures warm up to around 80 as we go into our Thursday afternoon. The storm chance is lower today, but a few isolated scattered showers or a pop-up thunderstorm possible as we go into this evening. Our Friday, though, will bring the better chance for storms for the week as a cold front pushes through. A line of scattered thunderstorms possible. A few could be stronger, even severe, with damaging wind and hail for our Friday afternoon. That's your forecast. The WSIC Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Ladies' Night is back at Bin 110 in Cornelius on Thursday, May 29th, courtesy of Lake Norman Woman Magazine. Whether you are new to the area or just need a night out with the girls, this is the perfect, no-pressure way to unwind, meet new friends, and enjoy a night of good vibes and great drinks. Invite your crew and make it a night to remember. Ladies' Night at Bin 110 begins Thursday at 6:30 p.m. with the Kaylee Grace music debut beginning at 8:30. The 500 Club in Statesville presents live music Saturday night with Lead Not Follow performing at 6 p.m. The band features classic rock, alternative, pop, country, and original music. Golfing and entertainment are all at the 500 Club this weekend. The Dock and Rock Music Festival, one of the highlights of the summer outdoor concert season, returns on Saturday, June 7th at Waterside Bar and Grill in Catawba. The music begins at 4 p.m. with performances by Ryan Joyce, Chasing Phoenix, the Presley Layton Band, and Danny Carr and the Skeleton Crew. Tickets are only $10 in advance and still a bargain at $20 at the door. Search Dock and Rock at ticketleap.events. Dock and Rock is hosted by Ryan Joyce, Waterside Bar and Grill, and is powered by Waves Entertainment. We will see you on Saturday, June 7th at Waterside Bar and Grill in Catawba for the Dock and Rock Music Festival. The Cookout Summer Shootout Series is back for race number 1 on Monday, June 9th at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Watch racing's future stars battle in Legends cars and Bandoleros on the front stretch quarter mile. Don't miss the next generation of racing royalty. Click on charlottemotorspeedway.com for ticket information or head to Gate 4 at the Speedway for the weekly promotions. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
From market trends to retirement plans, Joshua Dobi has you covered. We're back with more Dollars and Cents, presented by North Main Financial on WSIC. Local starts here.
Hello and welcome back to Dollars and Cents, presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us here. Fourth quarter, you made it to the fourth quarter of today's show. 11 minutes, 53 seconds until we hit the 5 o'clock bell. Sprint through the finish line. Can't quit at this point. I mean, you've come this far. You've come over 8.5 hours at this point. You got 7.5 probably if you're doing an 8-hour day. Actually, I'm thinking mine is about the 14-hour mark at this point, but it's almost here. That 5 o'clock. If you're a 9 to 5er, so make sure you sprint through the finish line there. So we got producer Reese and I get carried away talking about food. We do. We love it. I mean, he talked about how much a pizza is a staple for him. Certainly the same for me. You're talking about Sam's Club, owned by Walmart, getting into the pizza delivery business. Very, very interesting to me. Very interesting. I'm wondering, because Walmart, I mean, they are scientific in terms of the kinds of things that they pursue. I'll be very interested to see what kind of margins that they're going to produce on that. What do you think, producer?
I just got a little comment I would say about that.
Yeah.
Every pizza restaurant or chain does the delivery service.
Right. That's exactly.
So I'm a little worried about Sam's Club's success in that field if every pizza parlor has the delivery service.
It's a great point. There's tons of competition out there, right? And that's certainly not Sam's Club's primary business, like so many pizza shops are, right? Or restaurants are. But I wonder if they're banking on, because of how many members at Sam's Club specifically. So, I mean, because it's with Walmart, how many members
like
they have.
Being loyal,
yeah,
almost.
Yeah, really, I think that's the case. And they're seeing an opportunity there that is untapped. And so to add that on, because one of the ways in which you get that free delivery, as I said, you buy $50 worth of groceries. So if you're buying $50 worth of groceries and it's stuff's going to come in the late afternoon, you're getting ready for dinner, why not just tack on a pizza?
And I will say,
hot pizza delivery.
Spending $50 at a wholesale place nowadays, that's not hard to do.
Takes you about 6 items, right? If that. I mean, you're at $50 already. It's amazing. Anyhow, like talk about food. We're going to give you one more food item before we get back into the serious end of things here. There was and you know how much I love these. There was a survey. No, we do surveys on here. We don't do them actually here, but we talk about surveys, especially when it comes to food. So Yelp, the very popular online, I'll call it search engine / rating service for all kinds of things, everything from contractors to restaurants. But I usually use Yelp. I don't know about you, Producer Reese, when I travel for restaurants to find out what restaurants are close to me, what their ratings are, all that good kind of stuff. Anyhow, they did, I wouldn't call it a survey. I think this is really with regards to the rating aspect of things, the top hamburger chains in the country. Now, I thought one other qualifier for this, when you talk about hamburger chains, they only included hamburger chains with 100 or more locations. So you're talking about big groups here. These are not, this is not mom and pop or anything like that. These are big groups here. I thought this is very interesting. You know, I kind of like this stuff. I like to see what folks like to eat because I know what I like to eat, and I like to see what other folks like to eat as well. But the top burger chains as rated on Yelp. And the first one, and I can get on board with this. I don't know if I'd put them at number one, but they're definitely in the running. In-N-Out Burger. I do like some In-N-Out Burger. I mean that, and you get those. What are they called? Vampire fries, I think is what they're called. Vampire fries. Anyhow,
I've never had In-N-Out.
Oh, Producer Reese,
because I've never been to California.
I would say you got to get to the West Coast and Texas. You're right about that to get some In-N-Out Burger, but. Ooh, that is, I could get on board with that.
I would have said Five Guys.
You know, I think around here, but this is national. You know, so you got to look at these high density population areas to see, what chains are more prevalent there. And maybe Five Guys just doesn't have as much of a preference. I like some Five Guys too. I mean, it's like they weren't on this list, but Five Guys, or I should say they were not at the top of the list.
Okay,
that's what I should say. The second one, never heard of them. And it's just interesting, I think maybe because they're definitely not around here that I know about. And but they're called Habit, Habit, Burger and Grill. Habit Burger and Grill. Now
there is one in Mooresville.
Okay, see now that I'm not paying enough attention.
There is one in Mooresville on West Plaza Drive or River Highway.
Okay,
either one.
Okay.
And I've been there a handful of times.
See, I just needed to clear this through you first. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Every time I go there, the burger is a 10 out of 10. And then I took my girlfriend there for her first time a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
And she thought it was a 15 out of 10.
I'll tell you that if that's not an endorsement right there, holy smokes.
Yeah, they're good.
See now, and I appreciate so much you sharing that there's one in Mooresville there because I'm gonna make my way up there. I will probably go on Yelp to find out where it is, right? So that I can get the directions. Yelp's so good about that, telling me where it is. Okay, Habit Burger and Grill. See, I hadn't heard of it. Now, this next one, publicly traded company. So I am very familiar with them. We've talked about them on previous shows here on Dollars and Cents, Shake Shack. So Shake Shack Burger, publicly traded again. Sam Henry, Alpha Kelly, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold the debt or the stock there. I do like some Shake Shack.
If I had to compare 2 and 3,
yeah,
Habit definitely deserves to be above Shake Shack, in my opinion.
Interesting. Okay.
I know there are some.
There's some loyalists.
Opinions about.
Oh yeah, strong.
Though.
I mean, we talk about burgers and pizza, which we've touched on there. Those are like electric rails. I mean, you got to be very careful with talking about because there's some strong feelings.
Choose your words carefully.
You do. That's why when you kind of shoehorn that in my opinion in there, that's good.
Right.
Because there are a lot of people out there that have strong opinions. Anyhow, now, according to Yelp, the 3 most popular, or let's say most enthusiastic raters out there: In-N-Out Burger, Habit Burger and Grill, which now I'm definitely going to go find in Mooresville there, and Shake Shack. Again, I've been to 2 out of 3 of them so far, and I will get to the third one as well. And I don't believe. And I'm trying hard to remember. I don't believe I have ever run into a hamburger that I've not liked.
And also, something that is a big, what's the word I'm trying to find? A big factor to hamburgers and cheeseburgers
Right.
is the fries on the side.
It's huge.
And I will say, Habit will also not disappoint on the fries.
That's a big deal. No, that's a great point because you can definitely go sideways on that. I mean, if you got a great hamburger and you get on the fries, it's going to take away from it. It's not saying it's a bad. It's just that combination.
The thing that kind of throws me off about Five Guys is the burgers are great,
right?
But sometimes the fries are like soggy.
Oh my!
And
okay.
sometimes that kind of makes me mad.
Okay. In your opinion,
right?
That's great.
In my opinion.
We always got to put that caveat in there. Get strong feelings on all levels there, but still kind of interesting to hear that. All right, let's get back on the markets here as we get through the latter half of the fourth quarter of today's show. I'm starting and stopping intentionally. That was just to make sure that you're listening there. Very interesting as always when it comes to the market end of things. We continue to be in a space where the market, I would say overall, is quantifying in the ways that it does. Is it enough caveat in what I'm saying here and also with how slow I'm saying this? Is valuing in the ways that it does in uncertainty. And not when the uncertainty, I'm talking about the whole tariff-related trade negotiation aspect of things. Not a whole lot's changed, folks. We had an announcement here earlier this week that there was going to be a 90-day pause now on some things with China, another 90-day pause possibility with the EU. So those kinds of things are out there. We've had several of those now. So there's going to be some space of negotiation and some space of resolution. The markets seem to be there at this point, meaning the assumption of resolution in some way, which is not going to be significantly negative to the U.S. I think that's fair to say based upon what the market's overall performance has been here over the last week or two. Now, that's not a trend. We're definitely not going to get carried away on that end of things just because that's been true here for a couple of days, that's exactly where the market's going. Definitely not saying that at all. However, in terms of the metrics that I watch on my end of things, definitely not as much frantic movement or let's say significantly gyrating movements as there were there, especially, like I said, late March, early April, even through April into May, that were definitely not panic, but it was more uncertainty in terms of what was out there. The market seems to be steadying the ship here a little bit. And that's not to say that everything's going up because that's definitely not true. Never is true. Actually, you look at some of our bellwether stocks that are out there, they're still significantly in the negative for the year. Yes, I'm looking at you, Apple, AAPL, Alpha, Paul, Larry, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold the equity or the debt. I'm looking at you, Google, on the C-share end of things. Green, Oscar, Green, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold the stock or the debt there. Negative, notably negative for the year. Actually, Apple, I think, is still in the double digits negative since January 1st. So, we're not talking about everything just in a euphoric state at this point. You heard me talk about NVIDIA earlier in the show. And even with the pop-up, they're basically at where they started the year, right around there. So definitely not in some kind of utopic, euphoric space in terms of buying from where we marked there on January 1st. But definitely, I don't think things were unstable, but definitely some more stability. Is that fair to say? Almost like double speak a little bit there. But in terms of where we're seeing the markets right now, I would say a little bit more stability. We still have a lot of unknown out there. But folks, here's part of the truth of it. There's always unknown. That's actually what makes a market. If you have complete predictability, that's not a market. That's an axiom. That's a rule at that point. Markets have predictability by design and by structure. It's just a matter of whether they get to more extremes or less extreme in terms of their unpredictability or lack of certainty, lack of knowledge about particular spaces, particular companies, and that's what's most important. So when we're looking at that, sometimes, folks, again, when this happens, and this is where the word of caution is, I know I'm not the fun guy at a party, but we really have to talk about whenever things get a little bit more stable, we get comfortable. We get lazy. And we can't do that. You can't do that. When you're looking at your portfolio, it's very easy to start to get comfortable and lazy when things stable out. Folks, I want you to take a look at things. If you've had some things bounce back from where they were in the lows there at the end of March, early April, take a look at them. Are they still the places where you want to be? Is that still the place where you should be from a portfolio standpoint? Did you take too much risk? Perhaps found out about it there in March and April? Now things have bounced back a little bit. Is this the time to make some reallocation? Is this some time to reduce some of that risk for when the next downturn occurs? It may be. That's definitely something you want to keep in mind. Well, friends, I appreciate so much you hanging with us here on Dollars and Cents, presented by North Main Financial. Tune back in with us next week on Thursdays at 4 p.m. here on WSIC.
Serving you better than ever before. WSIC, Statesville, W290DK Mooresville, W260